Shalom, and welcome back to B'nai Noach Academy, Thoughts on the Torah. Please remember to hit the like button to subscribe, and of course, most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. When you look in the book of Numbers, chapter 9, it relates how when the Jews were in the desert, this is the first anniversary of when they left Egypt, and God instructs them to bring the Passover offering, the Korban Pesach, like they did back there in Egypt. And he reminds them that they should do it in accordance with all the rules and all the laws as they were instructed just about a year ago, prior to their leaving Egypt. Now, they did it, and it tells us they did exactly as they were commanded. They performed this wonderful mitzvah, this wonderful commandment. However, if you look in verse 6, it says there were those people that they were ritually impure and they could not be part of this celebration of bringing this offering for God. And they came before Moses and Aaron and that very day, and they said, quote, verse 7, those people said to them, "We are impure. We came in contact with a dead body. Lama nigara. Why should we be diminished? Why should we be left out from not being able to bring this offering, the offering of God in its right time?" Verse 8, Moses says to them, got to talk to the boss. Stand by. I'm going to find out. And then in verse 9, 10, 11, God says, indeed, there's always going to be a makeup time. Exactly a month after the offering of the Korban Pesach, of the Passover sacrifice, exactly a month later, that is on the 14th of Iyar, the 14th of this second Jewish month of the year, one who has not been able to do it in the first one who has been ritually impure or perhaps being just too far away, will now have the ability to make it up. And even though, generally speaking, the same rules apply, but still there are some rules that are much more laxed as, compared in contrast to the first Passover offering. What is the lesson over here? What is the Torah really teaching us? In fact, although it seems to be just another little story in the Torah, perhaps a little obscured, I have to tell you that this is perhaps the greatest lesson, the greatest message of the Torah. This is one of the most fundamental messages of our relationship with God. What God is telling us, look at this story. What happened over here? Do you want to tell me that God kind of made up the rules as they were going along? Oh, because they came and asked. So therefore, God just made up a rule, which he has the right to do. He has the power to do that. But that doesn't make sense. God has everything planned out from beginning of the time to the end of time. Certainly from the beginning of the Torah to the end of the Torah. So certainly this commandment was in the works, yet it wasn't revealed until now. This idea of being able to make up, this idea of being able to make amends, God waited for them to come. It should be on their initiative. They should come and demand and say, come on, we want to be part of it. Why should we be left out? In other words, they should feel the need. They should have the desire to make it up, to come close to God. And that's when God reveals it. Even Moses didn't know it. Even he wasn't aware of it until these people, which could have been just ordinary people, but they had this enormous dedication that compelled them to overcome their fears, to overcome any hesitation, even on the risk of sounding as if they're somewhat disrespectful, and come to Moses and Aaron, go straight to the top and say, why should we lose out on this mitzvah? This is so important to us. That's what God wanted to hear. And that's what he wants to hear from all of us. None of us are perfect. Sometimes we're distant. Sometimes we're impure. Whatever it may be that we did to soil our soul, to get a little messy, to mess things up, to make ourselves distant, God says, I understand. And there's that availability for you to come back. But you need to behave like those people. You need to want it. You need to desire it. You need to scream out and say, Lama Nigara, why should we be left out? I want to be part of it. Express your desire. Show that you really want it, and it will be readily available for you. And this is a lesson that it's never too late. Never too late. A person, no matter what they've done, could always come back and get closer to Hashem. They can always come back and offer something to God. Make a sacrifice to God. But they have to make a sacrifice. And like I said, they have to really, really want it. Hashem is not going to push it on them. God doesn't force you into it. It has to come from you.